Welcome back. Cracking the stimulus stalemate, lawmakers coming to an agreement on a new $900 billion COVID-19 relief bill. The bipartisan deal includes $600 direct payments to many Americans and $300 a week in enhanced unemployment benefits for the next 11 weeks. I spoke with House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy on Sunday Morning Futures about what Americans can expect. This was right before they agreed 100%. Watch.
This will go out for the small business owner and their employees, more than $300 billion in PPP. This could help our ability for tax incentives to help the small business restaurants. There's so much in this bill that could help us, and the unique part about this is we're able to rescind the money in the CARES package before that we appropriated that were not spent. So we're being fiscally smart and also very smart about helping the American public in this economy.
You don't have in there liability protection, and you don't have in there aid for the states, correct?
Yeah, we need liability protection. Unfortunately, the Democrats will not allow that to happen. You know, the trial lawyers are very strong with the Democrats. And so the state money should stay out along with the liability protection, and we need to come back and solve that.
Congress expects to pass this measure later today, along with a $1.4 trillion spending bill to keep the government open through September 2021. Joining me right now to talk more about all of that is former White House Acting Chief of Staff, former Director of the Office of Management and Budget, Mick Mulvaney. Mick, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks very much for joining us. Your reaction to this bill, how do you see it?
I was glad to see that it came in a lot smaller than we had talked about before the election. Glad they finally got a chance to do something, Maria. You and I have talked on this program many times about the need to do something. If the government takes your property to build a road or a school, you get paid. If the government shuts your business for health reasons, the government should help out with that. I think it's one of the things that goes undiscussed, unfortunately, is how we're paying for it, which is that we're not paying for it. We're borrowing additional money. We're going to be printing additional money, maybe. So that's a longer discussion, perhaps, for another day. But for right now, I think everyone's relieved that it's out, it's finished. And that's a little bit smaller than the Democrats wanted before the election.
Yeah, what do you make about the fight over the Federal Reserve? Mr. Toomey had to get involved. He kept saying, "Look, we don't want this Federal Reserve stimulus tied to the Treasury backstop to continue open-ended." So that was one of the sticking points in this bill.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. It's one of those rare times where I actually think that Congress actually did the right thing. They need to keep a tighter control over that money. We're already starting to hear stories, as you will, anytime there's a huge spending bill about fraud and waste and so forth. And just to have a giant pile of money sitting around for anybody to use in Washington, D.C., even if it's just the Federal Reserve, is always going to be dangerous and lead to unintended consequences. So I think they made the right move there, and I congratulate the Republicans in the Senate for sticking firm on that issue.
Mick, the president continues to challenge the election results. They are taking it to the Supreme Court in Pennsylvania. President Trump's campaign asking the Supreme Court to fast-track a challenge of the Keystone State's election results. This suit is asserting that several decisions by the Pennsylvania Supreme Court on absentee voting were unconstitutional. Campaign attorney John Eastman was with me earlier in the last hour and walked us through why he says the high court should intervene. Take a listen.
If the Supreme Court weighs in and says you cannot change the rules in the middle of an election, and you certainly can't do it by non-legislative actors, this happened in a half a dozen other states as well. And those legislators, as a result of a Supreme Court ruling here, I think would be emboldened or gain some spine to actually do what the Constitution allows them to do, which is to take matters into their own hands. And there are 7 slates of electors in those states that have cast their own votes, waiting for something like this to happen.
Mick, what do you make of this suit? Could this be a potential win for President Trump?
Potentially, sure, but I think we'd have to be honest with ourselves, Maria. No one's been impressed with the results of the legal team up till now. It's been run mostly as a PR campaign, it seems, not a serious legal inquiry. So I know the president's going to continue to use every tool available to him. That's to be expected under the circumstances, for sure. I think one of the things that not enough folks are talking about, though, is probably the best way at this point for the president to make sure we finally find out what happened in the election in 2020 is to win the Senate in Georgia. Because if the Democrats take control of the Senate, then there'll be no opportunity at all to do any investigations after January 20th. So I know a lot of attention goes to the legal efforts, but the political efforts are just as important, if not more so, at this date.
That's a great point, Mick. All right, I'm glad you made it. Good to see you this morning, sir. Thanks very much. Mick Mulvaney joining us this morning.